morning, traders. I'm Emily Ivani, the CEO of the Investment Banking Institute and your host here at NewsWare's Trade Talk. Joining me is trading anchor Bill Olson, who brings more than 30 years of institutional trading experience to our program. At Trade Talk, we provide the facts, themes, and trading ideas for the day ahead. Today is Tuesday, August 12th. Today's move follow a down start to the week as we cautiously await the latest reading on inflation due out today. Yesterday, all three major indices closed in the red. The Dow dropped 200 points, or about 0.5%. The S&P 500 shed 16 points, or 0.25%. The Nasdaq gave up 64 points, or 0.3%. Bill, let's get into today's action with what is happening in the markets this morning.
Nothing. S&Ps are flat, 0.00. They were a little higher this morning. They were a little lower, just fractionally, but we are in a tight trading range this morning. It really comes down to the fact that we're waiting on the CPI report. The CPI is the big inflation report that the market is waiting on. And, if it comes in hot, it will likely lessen the odds of a September rate cut, so that would be bad for the markets. And the expectation is it's going to run a little hot. So we got to be careful when that report comes out. President Trump is, yesterday he announced that he extended the current trade agreement that we have with China. That was positive. He also nominated E.J. Antoni as the head of the BLS. Nomination drew mixed reviews. Critics are questioning his rigor, accuracy, and neutrality of his economic work, say it has political bias. Okay. Expectations, for the possible peace deal with Ukraine, are still on the table because of these, upcoming meeting between President Putin and President Trump. But Trump is now describing these meetings as a feel-out meeting, so that's really lowered the expectations of the possible, ceasefire. So we got to pull back our expectations there. In deal news, Cardinal Health is set to acquire Solaris Health for $1.9 billion. In earnings news, GDOT, ONON, and Pony, they're all trading higher after earnings. CE is lower. Micron yesterday, they raised their guidance. That was nice to see. After the bell today, you got CRWV, CAVA, H&R Block, and Rigetti Computers all expected to report. Turn your attention over to Europe and seeing the action over in Europe. And Europe is a little bit of a mixed bag. The DAX is down 110 points, which is 0.46%. That ZOO indicators came in a little light. I see some weakness in healthcare, tech. London, the FTSE is actually higher. The FTSE, the FTSE is now flat. 0.00. Miners are trading positive, though. Miners are trading positive there. In France, the CAC is up, 11 points or 0.15%. Autos are higher, but luxury stocks are lower. And then turn your attention over to Asia. Last night, the Nikkei jumped 2.15%. Nikkei jumped 2.15%. That's a surge. That's 897 points. Corporate earnings, improved global trade sentiment, that's what caused that market to rally. Hong Kong was also trading higher, up 62 points or 0.25%, led by financial, property, and consumer stocks. And China rose, 0.5%. Tech stocks really did lead that rally. Chinese government officials are saying, trying to, get more domestic production on semiconductor solutions. We're seeing that. And then we're talking about oil, because oil is always a key topic. And, watching oil is trading a little higher. It has since turned. Oil is now lower. It's down over 0.5%. You get WTI at $63.53, and you get Brent at $66.30. After the bell today, you get the API, the American Petroleum Institute. They're going to be releasing the stockpile estimates for last week. That's one to key on. That comes out at 4:30. But that's what I have for you in terms of our morning update, Emily.
Bill, your morning overview really gives us a chance to hone in on the market moving events of the day, getting the high-level overview of what we're going to be diving into throughout the show. When there's all of this news coming out, data and information to be watching, being able to categorize key areas of market movement is important. Obviously, we're waiting on those inflation numbers. We will get to economic events in just a moment. But before we get there, we do want to turn to earnings action. Still plenty happening there. So, Bill, what is going on in terms of earnings?
But you look at that eToro. They came out with earnings this morning. ETOR, they beat by 7 cents. I mean, the stock is trading higher this morning. It's up 5.68%. Yeah, Cardinal Health, CAH, they beat by 5 cents. It was on lower revenue. Stocks down about 6% this morning. There are other factors. Pony came out with earnings. Stocks slightly lower. ONON, the shoe company, they released that stock's up over 12%. Green Dot, GDOT, they released that stock is up over 17%. And ZipRecruiter, ZIP, they're up 10% this morning after they did a big share buyback as well. Upcoming after the bell today, you got CAVA Group, ticker CAVA, Charlie Apple, Victor Apple. Their EPS is 13 cents. Expected move is 12.14%. The big one for today, CoreWeave, infrastructure play, CRWV, Charlie, Richard, William, Victor. EPS is for a loss of 23 cents. Expected move is 19.12% when they release after the bell today, Emily.
Just pointing out here that eToro was your pick of the day yesterday. That beat by 7 cents. We will get to that by the end of the show, taking a recap on that one. So stick with us. Now on to the day's economic events. This is really the big headline here. So Bill, what is going on in terms of the day's economic events?
8:30 a.m. Eastern time, you get the CPI, a consumer price index coming out. 4:30 p.m., you get the API oil estimates. 10 a.m., you're going to hear from Richmond Fed Bank President Thomas Barkin. At 10:30, you're going to hear from Kansas City Fed Bank President Jeffrey Schmidt. In terms of that CPI, headline is like they showed, 2.8% increase year over year for July. That's up slightly from the 2.7 in June. The core, however, which excludes food and energy, is expected to accelerate to about 3.1% year over year, which would be higher than June's 2.9%. On a monthly basis, headline CPI may rise around 0.2, with the core CPI monthly increasing near 0.3%. So that's kind of a hot CPI. This is why you're seeing the market, show a little bit of caution this morning. But we'll have to wait till those numbers come out, and then that's when the market will really tell. But that's what I have for you in terms of an economic update this morning, Emily.
And Bill, I do think it's worth pointing out that when those numbers come out, you will see them as soon as they're released because you're not trailing behind news organizations being able to pick up that information and then republish it. You're seeing a professional newswire getting that data as it happens. And when it's could be as market moving as we're anticipating, that becomes critical in being able to stay ahead of the markets and make smart moves. And when it comes to making smart moves in the market, you want to be keeping track of other data and news and information, even on a day where there is this big headline on inflation. You're following other types of news, things like merger news, guidance news, shareholders meetings, buyback news, and catalyst calls. You're looking at your stocks grouped together like your FANG stocks and your Dow 30 stocks. So Bill, what else do you see is possibly moving the markets today?
I'm just doing a quick data check. I'm looking at my Dow stocks. I got 12 lower, but I got 14 higher, and I got 4 unchanged. That's kind of interesting walking into today. I'm looking at my FANG stocks. They're mixed. Meta, Netflix, Tesla are trading higher. Apple, Amazon, Google are all lower. In terms of like FANG stocks on the news, the big one really is out there is Musk saying that XAI has to take legal action against Apple over the App Store rankings. He doesn't like the App Store rankings. He thinks that ChatGPT, OpenAI gets all the attention. Well, they probably get a lot of attention. They're first out there. In terms of Dow Jones 30 stocks, NVIDIA, China's urging firms not to use NVIDIA's H20 chips in new guidance. IBM, Google, key tech firms, they're expecting quantum computers by the end of the decade. They're coming out there and they're saying that. That's interesting. In terms of merger news, you got to talk about Sinclair Broadcasting, SBGI, Sam Boyd, Grace India. Sinclair began a strategic review of broadcasting business operations. In Cardinal Health, CAH, they're going to be acquiring Solaris Health for $1.9 billion. Interesting. In terms of guidance, Cardinal Health, CAH, they raised their full year 2026 EPS view to $9.30 to $9.50. Street estimate has it at $9.25. That's an uptick. ONON, that's On Holdings, they raised their full year 2025 for a revenue view to up at least 31%. Prior guidance was up at least 28, so they just kicked it up 3%. That's not bad. In terms of shareholders meetings, RAMP, this is live RAMP, RAMP. They're going to be holding a shareholders meeting today at 2:30 p.m. In terms of buyback news, ZipRecruiter, ticker ZIP, they announced a new 100 million buyback authorization. terms of catalyst calls, OLMA, Oscar Larry Michael Alpha. And Citibank places the 90-day positive catalyst call on Ullman Oncology. That's what I have for you in terms of news hitting the tape this morning, Emily.
This is the type of data that NewsWare delivers daily. It's factual, it's market moving, and our alerting functions bring it to your attention as it happens. Go to www.newsware.com now and sign up for the trial and see for yourself the benefits that professional Newswire delivers. It is now that time of the show for the Trade Talk pick of the day. It's a tricky day to be making a pick before the opening bell ahead of that latest CPI print. But Bill, you're going to give one to us anyway. What is your pick of the day?
Going with ticker LITE, LIT, Larry India Tom Edward, Lumentum. Earnings out after the bell. EPS is 82 cents. Expected move is 11.17%. Yesterday's call volume 17,494 versus 5,873. Open interest 34,493 versus 22,550. Positive on both, and the major brokers like the stock, and these guys gave really solid guidance last quarter when they raised guidance. So I mean, listen, if I can get them 115, that'd be great. I'm gonna hope for maybe a little weakness, 114.50, but 115 is really my entry price. But that's my pick of the day. Ticker LITE, Larry India Tom Edward Emily.
We will follow that one along with you today. And coming up, we'll do that recap on yesterday's pick of the day as I promised. So stick with us. But first, let's take a look at the current breaking headlines that have hit the tape in our hot off the press segment. Bill, take it away.
Let's see, what do we have here? Amazon Parler Cloud Technologies announced exclusive partnership. ECL Ecolab to acquire electronics business from Orvio for $1.8 billion. Shake Shack to open 15 stores in Vietnam by 2035. Interesting. Ticker ZIM, Zim Integrated, says no comment on rumors of possible acquisition proposal. Ticker ZIM, Zebra, India, Michael. Intel Gains is he had a positive meeting with Donald Trump yesterday. President Trump kind of did a little bit of reverse course and had positive things to say about him. S&Y, Sanofi, they halt the supply of their cholesterol drug to China on supply chain issues. That's what I have for you this morning.
Okay, Bill, before we sign off and await that CPI print and get to trading today, let's do that check-in on yesterday's pick of the day, which was eToro. As I pointed out earlier in the show, I did just come across a tape that Jefferies reiterates a buy rating on the stock. And as you told us, they did report earnings this morning. They reported a Q2 adjusted EPS of 56 cents. That was as much as 7 cents better than the analyst estimates out there. They reported Q2 revenue of $2.094 billion, and that's versus $1.849 billion last year. The stock is up from the closing bell yesterday a fair amount. So, Bill, how did your call work out?
Hey, listen, look at the numbers. The stock opened up at $58.82. I was saying $58.25, give or take 25 cents. But the stock then fell during the day. It actually fell down to $53.98 before closing at $55.30. But this morning it's rallying. It's already traded $58.50. The last trade was $58.48. That makes it kind of a flat trade, which is great, but that win wasn't there, so I'm upset about it, but it was a flat trade at the end of the day, Emily.
A flat trade when things are cautious. It could be worse, but we will check in with you tomorrow about today's Lumentum pick of the day. Bill, thank you as always for your expert insight. Join us back here tomorrow and each weekday morning at NewsWare's Trade Talk when we provide the facts, themes, and trading ideas for the day ahead. Again, I'm your host, Emily Advani, here with trading anchor Bill Olson. Traders, you know what to do. Let's go out there and make some green.